Hello everyone, it's nice to have you once again. My name is Victoria and I welcome you to the learning family. In this video, I'll teach you all the tips and techniques you need to know about shading, which is a basic step to achieve realism. Also in this video, we will discuss pressure control, the different shading techniques, and how to shade basic forms as beginners. Come along with me and make sure to stay to the end of the video. One important step to achieve realism is pressure control. Pressure control is very important while shading as it can help you achieve ranges of values from light to dark. The harder you press, the darker your strokes will be and vice versa. I'm going to show this by drawing a grayscale from 1 to 8 using a 2B graphite. I'm going to increase the shading pressure from left to right. This will help me create different values. This is also called the gradient exercise, and when you do this, hold the pencil a bit further to gain more control and shade in one direction. It is also important to make sure that no value repeats. Realistic drawing consists of different values, and when you are able to master pressure control in shading, you would be able to create realism effortlessly. Moving on to shading techniques, the first one we will discuss is hatching. Hatching is a technique used to create shading effect by drawing lines that are closely spaced and parallel. These lines are drawn in one direction. This shading method saves time and it is ideal for large areas. Just remember to keep your lines together and avoid uneven spaces between them. The next shading technique is cross-hatching. This method uses crisscrossing lines to create light and shadow effect. After you hatch in a direction, all you need to do is to layer in the opposite direction. This method can be used to create a textured feel in a drawing. It is important to note that your lines don't have to be straight, so you can curve them to suit the shape of whatever you are drawing. This method also helps to achieve realistic image and can be used to create wrinkles. Next method is scribbling or circulism. This method involves shading in circular motions. When doing this, make sure your circles overlap each other and there are no visible spaces in between. This method is my favorite as it is easy to blend, it gives smooth skin easily, and it helps you create realistic images as well. The fourth method is pointillism. This method uses dots to create light and shadow effect. This method takes a lot of time and doesn't give smooth skin. It is also difficult to blend and not ideal for large areas except you're ready to spend a decade on shading. Ain't nobody got time for that. The final method is blending or smudging. Blending is a very important shading technique to learn and understand as a beginner. It's a method that is used to smooth away lines and create fine gradients. This method helps you to achieve realistic skin and gives a professional finish. I recommend using a soft tissue as it gives a very smooth finish. You can also make use of your blending stump to blend. Take a look at this ball. There is a light source eating from the right, which will divide the ball into two parts, the dark family and the light family. The darkest part is called the shadow. This part is completely hidden from light. The midtones are values that exist between the shadows and the highlight. They are part of the light family and so are brighter than everything in the shadow family. They are essential in drawing as their absence produces a cartoonish look. The highlights are found at the highest point of an object closest to the light source. It is the highest point where the light directly hits the object. The cast shadow is the darkest part that sits directly under the object. The highlight, midtones, and shadows are the elements you need to move from this to that. To draw a realistic circle, the first thing is to indicate my light source, then I will divide the circle into the light and dark family. The next step is to block in the shadow using a 2B graphite. While shading, I try to follow the round form of the circle and I use both arching and circularism shading techniques. In the next step, I go on to shade the midtones using a lighter pressure. Remember we said pressure control is key to achieving realism. Once I'm done with the first layer of shading, I go on to build another layer of shading to define the form. The next step is to go in with a 6B graphite to darken the area of the shadow. While shading your form, remember to preserve the white of the paper for your highlight. As you draw, be sure to go back and forth and build up your shading. It is very important to take your time and strive for consistency. The final step is to add the cast shadow under the ball. Adding this will help our drawing look more realistic. Practicing basic form is absolutely important as these basic forms are what make up complex objects. After shading the ball, I moved on to shade more basic forms as examples for you guys. As long as you think of your light source and getting the right values for your shadows, midtones and highlight, your shading will end up nice and beautiful. Keep in mind to create a high contrast of your values, which means you have a clear shadow, a clear midtone, and a clear highlight. While it is possible to have more tones in between, these 3 tones must be included if you want your shadings to be realistic. When you're shading any object, you can try to shade in the direction that the object is going. You can start with the hatching technique and cross-hatch following the flow of the form of the object. Also, it's important to not focus on improving on 5 things at the same time. Rather, set your goal one after the other and be consistent with it. For example, if you are learning the shading technique, study it perfectly and know it well before moving on to how to draw the eyes or the nose or the lips or the skin. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. I would recommend that you try to draw these basic forms on your own and see where you need to improve on. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for your support and for watching, and I hope you found the video helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos to learn some of the tips you would need to improve your art. In the next tutorial, we will apply all that we learned in this video to draw a realistic nose like this. You sure don't want to miss the video, and I'll see you there. Bye!